If we could go back to where it all started, Nathan, my understanding is that you were
Yeah.
homeless. So take us right back to the beginning.
hmm
What was your previous life? How did you end up on the streets?
So I started in property when I was 17, working for Foxtons in Hampstead. Um, Offered a job as a lettings negotiator, then went into sales, got a flavour for it, really enjoyed property, bought my first flat when I was 18 in Watford for 100 and I think it's about 110 grand. Then bought another one in Battersea for like I think it's about 250 or 300, which was off plan. Did quite a good deal with the developer. And then I felt like I got a bit too big for my boots. I had my own business, which was property searching on behalf of high net worth individuals and cash rich, time poor clients. Um, and it came to a point where I started thinking that all these deals would come in, but they didn't. And I'd already started spending that money. And all of a sudden, you spend the money's not coming in, and all of a sudden the banks come calling. And I got home one day, and it was a situation of just burying my head in the sand. You know, you see those letters coming in from the bank and you just ignore them. You just think, I'll deal with it later, I'll deal with it later. And then all of a sudden you go home one day, your doors are locked,
Mm.
keys, locks have been changed and you're out. And it was a really, really scary time because I was too proud to tell anybody what had happened. And I didn't want to tell my friends because my circle of friends at the time were not friends. They were just there for the ride, going out clubbing, partying, having a good time. And all of a sudden, when the money's not there, they all disappear. So I didn't know what to do. I ended up applying for the YMCA, but to get into the YMCA at the time, you had to have a bank account, which they were closed. I managed to get one by purely giving an address, waiting for the postman to turn up for me to get my letter with my sort code and account number. Got that, took it down to the job centre, opened up got a job seekers allowance account, and then I had to move into the YMCA. But before that, I was living in the car. I had a car, lucky enough, which I bought cash, and they didn't know it was an asset, and they never took it. So I was sleeping in my car for 2 weeks. Um, then I moved into the YMCA, which is it's a tough place to be. It really is. Um, and I think when you talk about how you get out of those situations, for me, it was a mindset. But back then, we didn't have YouTube, Instagram, we didn't have social media to look for inspiration. We didn't have audio books to listen to. We had books, but because I'm dyslexic, I can't read that well. So it was a real struggle. So for me, I thought, what do I do to make myself feel good? And at the time, it was exercise. And downstairs at the YMCA, they had a gym and it was a blessing. So I went to the gym every day. I got fit. I got mentally strong. And I thought, I want to set a goal, a bit of a deadline of how do I get out of here and when do I get out of here by? And I set myself, I think it was a year. I said I wanted a year. But within 6 months, I got out of there, applied for a job, rented a flat, rented a small house in Uxbridge. Um, and then it just sort of snowballed from there. I got my credit score back up after a year, bought another flat, and then the rest is history. And I've just carried on
Wow.
buying and selling for clients and myself since then.
Wow. Incredible. That would have been a very difficult period of your life, having it all and then losing it. And a lot of people would be glass half empty. And a lot of people out there going through struggles, they stay in the struggle for many, many, many years. And many people don't get out of it because they go into this dark place. What was it that kept you going through that time, that resilience to say, I'm not going to give up? What was that driving force, Nathan?
I think from a young age, I've always wanted to succeed. Like people around me, you see things, you're inspired by others. You see people around you that have achieved something, and you always feel like deep down you always want it. But sometimes there's a self doubt of, I can't achieve that. And I think when I became homeless, the first thing you think of is, I'm done, right? That's it. I'm never going to achieve what I want to achieve. And I think the minute I got away from the circle of friends that I was in and ended up surrounding myself with people that genuinely wanted me to succeed, I think that's when I thought, do you know what? I don't care what anyone else around me thinks about me. I want to achieve something. I can achieve something. If you can do it, why can't I do it?
Mm.
So I think it was about just changing my mindset, surrounding myself with really, really good people. That also, the key part of it was surrounding yourself with people that want you to genuinely want you to succeed. There's a lot of people out there that will try and pull you down. They'll say, "Oh, you can't do that, or you can't do this, or that's not achievable." And it's a lesson I tell everyone that I speak to now. Like, why are you asking for my opinion if you want to go and do something? Just go and do it. If it works, great. If it doesn't, do you know what? Even better, because then you learn from it. So
Mm.
I think it's just not caring about what anybody says. Just follow the path, stay in your lane and follow your path that you want to go on. And there's going to be ups and downs. You are going to fail. You are going to have really low moments where you just feel horrible within yourself. But at the same time, you're going to feel the highs. So learn from the negatives. When you're feeling down, it's not a bad thing. It's actually could be a really good thing, because that could be the motivation to take you to the next level. So surround yourself with really good people. If you've got a bit of aspiration and inspiration from somewhere, follow it. If you've got a goal, just stick to it and set yourself a bit of a deadline. Just say, when do you want to try and achieve this by? And then you set your daily goals of what you need to do to take action every single day. I think that's a key word: action, actually doing the work. It's
That's it,
great
not
manifesting,
procrastinating.
but you need to go and do it.
Yeah, I really love you. I really love your
It's
attitude.
mad.
There's a lot of you, Nathan, in my own story as well, to be fair. You know, brought up on a council estate and lived in a woman's refuge with my mum, and we was on the run for a short period of time. And I'm also dyslexic and pretty much left school with nothing. So I love your attitude and your take action approach. I think it's absolutely incredible. So where did the whole property thing come from? So you were homeless, you did a bit of property before. What was it about property that was like a magnet for you?
Well, it was always the word on everyone's lips, and it still is now. You know, everything that we do on a daily basis is evolved around property, whether that's commercial, residential, whatever it might be. You're surrounded by it. So I thought it's just a no-brainer. I mean, I never wanted to just be an estate agent or be a property developer or an investor. I remember when I was younger, I think I was about 14 or 15, I did say I'm going to be a property developer. I think I saw an article in the paper about somebody. He just looked super cool, really successful, you know, and drove the car of my dreams at the time. He had an F40, and I just thought I want to be like that. Um, so property was never in my, it wasn't in my blood. My dream was always to be a footballer. And when I wasn't good enough, and when I got released from Luton Town Football Club, I was not pushed into it. I just fell into being an estate agent. So my dad said, "You need to go get a job." And I didn't know what. He just said, "Go look for an estate agent." So I looked for the best estate agent at the time, which was Foxtons. I got the job, and the rest is history. And I think once you're in the property business, you realize how fluid it can be and how rewarding it can be as well. It's not just about doing deals, but when you're selling somebody's biggest asset or their home that they love and that they've extended and refurbished, and you're helping them move into a new home and carry that journey on where their kids are going to grow up, it's actually really fulfilling. And you get reviews saying, like, you've gone above and beyond to help us move into our dream home and sell something, and we just didn't have the time, but you had the patience to deal with us, the positivity, the energy, it's really rewarding. But at the same time, again, being an investor and you buy a property which is dilapidated, run down, and it's uninhabitable, and you turn it into a home and you bring it back into the community. How amazing is that? I mean, people look at investors and go, "Oh, money grabbing or greedy," but who else is doing the work? Yes, we make a bit of profit from it, but are you going to do it? No. Are
Mm.
you going to take a view? Are you going to go get, are you going to go get a bridging loan for 9 months and take that risk and get the work done? No, you're probably not, but I would do it. And we bring that property back into the community, and you go and live in a beautiful flat or house. So
Mm.
it is really rewarding. And I don't listen to any of the outside negativity. I just follow my path.
That's fantastic. And would you very much say that property is a people's business, relationships?
100%. I mean, if you're, yeah, if you don't like people, it's probably not the right business to be in. But, I mean, don't get me wrong. When I go on holiday, I speak to nobody apart from my clients on my phone or my business partners. But when I go there, I don't socialize with anyone. I just rest, I zone out, because when you're in property, you're dealing with people all the time and you have to be on form. You can't just take a back seat. You've really got to be out there, showing your best self all the time and just being proactive and being really responsive to people as quickly as possible. And I think a lot of people lack that at the moment. They're quite lazy in property, and it's just people want answers now. We live in a world where people want everything's got to be instant gratification, or it has to be so quick and so fast. And people in property have to be exactly the same. We struggle with solicitors, but I don't think that's ever going to change.
They're always slow. Yeah. So one of your deals, Nathan, I believe you turned five garages into around 1.4 million pounds worth of property.
Yeah.
How did you find that deal, and where did that vision come from?
So I suppose when somebody has, let's say, for instance, look, somebody's got an asset and they don't know how to dispose of it, they'll contact an agent or a property broker or an investment firm, or they'll receive a letter saying, "What are you doing with this particular land or asset?" And we got offered it to us by a property dealer. Um, so a broker came to us and said, "Look, I've got these 4 or 5 garages. You can get planning to convert it into a house. Do you want to take a view?" And my partners and I just said, "Yeah, absolutely." So we bought the garages, we got the planning. It's nearly finished now. We're actually, in a couple of weeks' time, we're probably just going to break a bottle and have a few drinks in there. But that should be ready to be sold in September. But you've got to go out and find the deals, and you have to network with as many people as possible and keep constantly on their mind. You have to be constantly in front of their mind, thinking, if I've got a deal in front of me, who am I going to speak to? And in fact, my business partner Gideon, he is the best at that. He is absolutely relentless. He just does not stop. He is constantly in front of people, meeting, networking. I sit a little bit further back, but he is out there literally going, "Think of me, think of me, think of me, think of me." I don't have the time and energy to do that, but you have to do it.
What
Um,
what would you say to people at the moment, Nathan, that are seeing property as a negative? You can't make money in property in the UK market now. Interest rates have gone up. The government are squeezing us. Buy-to-let landlords. There's a lot of negative news out there in relation to property. What would you say to all of that negativity right now? And how do you personally see the property market in the UK moving forward over the next few years?
so look, property has always run its course, and it's always, from the from the time of whenever it all started, right? Property has always done this. It's always been on an upward scale. You're always going to have peaks and troughs and ups and downs. That's in every single market there is possible. Car industry, tech industry, startups, whatever it might be, there's always peaks and troughs. If you're looking to get into the business, you have to have a bit of a plan of why you want to get into it first. If you're looking to say, "Look, I've got 100 grand, I want to get in and out of something within 6 months," it's all about how well you buy. How cheap do you buy that property? Because if you buy really well, regardless of what's going on around you, it will make money. If you're thinking, "I want to buy, I don't know, I want 20 flats as a property portfolio, 25 years, pay them all off, have a bit of a rental portfolio, set up a limited company, doing it the way that we have to now to save a bit of money you know, on the tax that we now have to pay as landlords, and put it into a company, we'll save a bit." We all know about this new structure, right? It's about then buying properties that you think, "Okay, where are my service charges going? What are your outgoings on that property before you look at your rents? What are my outgoings on that flat?" If you know you've got high service charges and you want to build a successful property portfolio with high yields, you stay away from those high rise or big developments with gyms, etc., etc. So I think you need to have an understanding of what you want first out of it, and then it's about how well you buy and what you buy at the time. You know, 25 years ago, you could buy, it was all about off plan. It was all about off plan. You flip them before completion. Everyone makes, their 10, 15% happy days. It was done all the time. Now the developers have stopped that. Of course, you can't just flip it straight away. You need to retain the asset for a little bit. Um, but it's all about what you buy. No matter how bad the market is, there's always deals to be done. If the market's terrible, there'll be desperate sellers out there. There'll be people that can't afford to live in their property. And I don't mean you take advantage of them, but you use the market to your advantage. So you don't take advantage of them, you just use the market to your advantage in the nicest possible way. And you try and help that person, whether it's trying to help them find their next property, or you relieve their asset, or let's say, for instance, you have morals about you. And not, a lot of people don't, but some people do, which I really value. Let's say you go to somebody, they're in desperate need to sell their property, but they're desperate they'll sell it really, really cheap. They're in negative equity. Why not allow them to rent from you for the next 6 to 8 months until they get themselves back on their feet? If you're buying it really well, let them rent it back off you so they don't become homeless and they've got somewhere to stay. And then you can make plans for the property in the future. I think it's all about what you buy, but understanding why you want to buy them in the first place.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic answer to that question. There's always a good deal to be had. Understand the market, understand the strategy, understand why you're doing it. Now, there's a lot of myths out there that keep people back, Nathan. And one of the biggest myths that people say is, I'd love to be in property, but you need to be rich to be in property. I need to have tons of my own money to be in property. What would you say to that myth? And are there any other myths that you are aware of, or belief systems that we can help smash in this session?
Uh, Well, let's get rid of all. Look, I see a lot of people on social media. I won't mention any names, but oh yeah, buy 10 properties. Oh, you can do this, you can do that. Let's be honest, it's not easy. It's not easy, but it's possible. So you don't need lots of money. Let's say, for instance, you're buying a small house outside of London, like way outside of London, north, way down south. Okay, I tell you what, we'll take my brother's first property to begin with. So he wasn't earning a great deal. I think he was earning about £30,000 a year. So an average salary, shall we say, right? He had a 10% deposit and he bought a 2 bedroom flat in Plymouth, 2 bed, split level, period conversion, share of freehold. He's now renting that out. He was 24 years of age. He bought a property. He bought it well. I think he paid 100 grand for it, and it's now worth 120. So he's made 20 grand already. It was his first home. He worked remotely anyway, so he didn't need to be in the office 6 days, 5 days a week. So he could work from home. When he goes to sell that, he's got no capital gains to pay. So, well, since he's rented it, yes, but if it had sold it, let's say 6 or 8 months later, he'd have had no capital gain. So he's back in. He's in at 120. So all of a sudden, you made 20 grand from property. So it's so easy, but it's all about finding the right deal. And I think if you're trying to find the right deals, all you need to do is look at price comparisons, speak to loads of estate agents, see what else is sold in the area, do your pound per square foot depending on where you are. It's so easy to buy. So as long as you've got a half decent credit history and you've got an income. So let's say, for instance, you're an employee, you want to get into property. You're employed, you want to get into property. Well, speak to a decent broker and see what you can borrow. Wherever that is in the country, that is going to be your main residence, because it's going to be difficult for you to get a buy-to-let mortgage as your first one, because you're going to have to put a higher deposit down. You can set up a limited company, but with that becomes risks. Of course, there are. So I would suggest, if you are young, early 20s, don't earn a huge amount of money in terms of your income, want to get into property, look well outside of London, see what you can borrow. Don't borrow all of it. My God. Like all of a sudden, it's like, yeah, I can borrow 180 grand. I'm going to need to spend 180 grand. No, don't. Make sure you've got plenty of money on the side just for a rainy day. Don't leverage yourself too high to begin with. But the myths out there of it's so hard to buy. It's not. It really isn't. Like I bought my first flat 20 years ago, or 20 whatever years ago. I had 10 grand deposit or 15 grand deposit, which we can save. We can save. We can find the money from somewhere. Um, and the journey started.
Great, great, really, really good. What's been one of your biggest challenges recently, and how have you overcome that in property?
Biggest challenge recently. Planning has been an issue. So planning in certain boroughs of London has been really, really difficult. So we bought something, tried to get planning, tried to get the extension done. I mean, I'll give you an example. Like Islington Council at the moment is really, really difficult. Like they're scrutinizing absolutely everything, and it's just making it impossible to sort of make a half decent home bigger. And that's quite sad for families as well. So families that are looking to stay put, trying to, instead of spending, another 50, 60 grand on stamp duty, they could spend that towards their extension, stay there, don't need to do anything, just extend their family home and live where they live. The kids don't need to be uprooted. And they're just making it impossible. They're making it really, really difficult, and a really expensive process. So planning's been an issue. Sales have been quite are ridiculous. So if you're trying to convert five houses, a house into like four flats, you've got the seal on every flat, 50 grand or 60 grand each in Islington. They want to create more homes, but they're not allowing you to do it.
Mm.
So what's their agenda? Is their agenda for them to do it and them to make the money? They don't want us to be successful and create homes because they know we're making our bread and butter from it. So planning's been an issue. Funding sometimes has been quite difficult to get. I'm obviously self-employed, so if I'm trying to get a self-employed mortgage for a home for myself, they go through absolutely everything. But so they should, because obviously the regulations changed in 2008. And they're making it a bit more difficult. We don't want these bad mortgages. We want people to be able to afford them. But at the same time, if you've got all your paperwork, it should be a really simple process. But they ask for absolutely everything.
So, with these challenges that we're facing, what would you say to someone that is facing these challenges so they don't give up and just go back to their normal 9 to 5 and give up on their dream?
Speak to people around you. Like, there's people out there on Instagram like yourself. There's mentors out there that are in property. Surround yourself with people. Ask advice. Like, there's property professionals everywhere, whether it's on the high street, whether it's a broker, maybe a conveyancer. There are so many people out there which you cannot ask advice of. But go on social media, look at agents maybe that are doing really well in the business. There's so many people out there that are doing really well. I'm sure if you ask them for a bit of advice, they won't say no. People people love their egos massaged. So if somebody says to me, Nathan, can I have a bit of advice? I'm always happy, but just don't take the piss. Like, remember, people's time is really valuable. It's their biggest asset they have. So if you want advice, I would always ask people. I would always ask people if they're going to send me a message, just say, can I have 5 minute hi? Can I have 5 minutes of your time when suitable for you, just to ask you a few questions about property, instead of just going into the DMs and saying, what do you think about this? I don't have the time for it. But if you're polite, courteous, ask the question, respect my time, and say, please, this is what I'm looking to do. If you've got 5 minutes, would you spare it? Of course I would.
Great. Let's talk about social media then, because social media has played a big part in your brand. You're online, you're doing your reels, you're doing your stories, you're putting your content out there. How important would you say is social media for property investors today, and the importance of building your brand?
Social media is a window into what you do. So of course it's good to have a presence because people will be able to find you and see what you're doing. However, you need to take social media with a pinch of salt, because a lot of it out there, excuse my French, and you need to bleep this out, is bull. And there are a lot of people faking it on social media. So sometimes you don't know what's real and what's not. So if you're using social media for yourself, always be authentic, always just be genuine, just be yourself. You don't need to show off. In fact, I would say the best posts and the most ones that get the biggest traction are your failures. If you think whenever you see bad news on a post, or someone's down or depressed or something's happened, that gets the biggest traction. So if you're looking to go on social media just to say like, look at me, look at what I've done, don't bother. No one wants to read it and no one cares. But if you go out there and say, I'm really struggling, this is what I'm looking at advice for, you'll get loads of it. Of course, if you want to show your successes and if you want to show that, absolutely do it. But also show your failures and also show your vulnerability, because no matter what level you are, who you think you are, you always have vulnerabilities. You always have that something inside, but which is completely normal, and absolutely you need that vulnerability. You need it. Like, it's your safety mechanism. It's your way of thinking, what do I need to now do to get out of this? Like, you have to have vulnerability. There's no one that just has, oh yeah, I'm fine all the time. Like, I get it. You have lots of people have great positive outlooks like I do. Like, I'm always positive, but there's always sometimes where you think, oh, that was shit. Like, I feel nervous about this, or I'm stressed about that. normal. So show your vulnerabilities, show your successes, but don't blag it. No, it unravels very, very quickly. And I've been there and I've done it. I've been that person that blags their way through things, and it doesn't last long. And it's
Mm.
hard to keep up. Trust me.
So what do people do? It's great advice there, Nathan. What do people do? They want to start putting themselves on social media, and I'm a big one for social media. Been across the platforms for years, it's had a real positive impact. But what do we say to people that they want to put it out there, but they're worried about what their family will say? They're worried about having a hater or a troll, because that's one of the biggest fears that I find people have. So what would you say to those people, Nathan?
I love I love the trolls and the haters. You need those people. In fact, so when I was on the show, I got some negative feedback. You leave it on there. Like, you have to brush it off. Unless you know these people personally, I would totally ignore it. So let's be honest, your haters and the trolls are going to be people that don't know you. And if you do know them, you need to like just get rid of their opinions from your life. Like, those people, you just don't need them around you. But I think in terms of the negativity on social media, I actually quite enjoy it. Like, I see it as, I find it quite funny. If people take the piss out of me, which I really enjoy, I just laugh. Like, it doesn't bother me. And the guy that taught me this was a guy called James Ison. He was the starter of the Rich Kids of Instagram, now called the Rich Kids of the Internet. He's a lovely boy, James. And we did a podcast once. It was his first podcast about coming out as the founder of this platform. And he said, "You know what, Nathan? Like, the trolls are the best thing for you. It was great for algorithms. It always gets shared. It always gets posted. So enjoy the negativity. Enjoy. Just, you have to laugh at it. It's not nice at the beginning. It's horrible. Don't get me wrong. Like, when you read them, you feel a bit sick, and it makes you feel a bit vulnerable, and it gives you a few doubts. But it's fine, because they don't know who you are." And you just have, like I said, all you have to do is follow that path. And it's like, this is my goal. This is my destination. This is where I want to be. This is where I want to go. And you do have to ignore it. At the beginning, it's quite hard, but you have to laugh in their face, because ultimately all you want to do is succeed and just win all those little wins at the time. And when you win at something and you still see negativity, you then start laughing at it and think, it doesn't affect me. And then
Mm.
you sort of bring it on, because then you start seeing your posts scroll and loads of people commenting. And then you see people comment and comment and comment. It's brilliant. Like, I love trolling. I love it.
Excellent.
I would never troll anyone, but I love it when people troll me.
Yeah, I love that outlook. Love that. Love that. You know, if you're genuine and sincere, and you know you're doing things for the right reasons, then you're right. We should never let anyone or anything get in the way of our vision and the goals we want to achieve. So we've just got a few more questions, Nathan. You was on the TV show The Traitors. What did that teach you about people? Teach you about yourself? What was your biggest learnings from being on that TV show?
Well, the learnings from that TV show in particular was just stay quiet for the first couple of days, or maybe the first week. Just shut up. Like, as soon as I found out I was a faithful, I was just myself, and I talk a lot. So that was my downfall. Where if I was a traitor, I would knew to have stayed quiet, and I should have just taken that approach from the beginning. Um, Here's another thing I would say. Like, it, it's quite hard, because I would never take what I learned from the traitors probably into my real life, because it was a game and it was a show, and people were putting on these fake performances, and people were fake and not themselves in there, where actually I was just myself, because I knew that I had nothing to hide. But everyone was a lot of people in there were just fake, and I just thought,
Hmm.
this
Shame, isn't
isn't
it?
real life. This is a game. Like, this is a game. So that's why I didn't take anything from that into my real life, because it is just a game. So whatever people are lying behind your back or trying to stitch you up or spread rumors, it's fine. It's just a game. So, but what I learned from it is, do you know what? Reality TV is probably not as good as people make it out to be. People think I'll go onto a show and I'll become famous. Obviously, I met a couple of the guys from The Apprentice, and they assume that they would kick off and they're looking for followers, and I'm like, stop looking for it. Like, at some point it will come. What do you want to achieve? Like, having 1 million followers isn't going to change your life. Like, it really isn't. Just follow your path, do what you're doing, enjoy it, enjoy the successes, embrace the failures, and just learn. Like, I don't know, going on TV. I think if you want to go on a TV show, go on the TV show because you want to play that game, not because you want to become famous. Because if you're looking to become famous out of a show and it doesn't happen, it's going to put you in a real, it's no good for your health or your mental health or your positivity or your attitude. So I thought I'd go on that game because I thought I'd really enjoy playing it. And for the 3 minutes, I really did.
Great. That's really good. Love that. And to summarize, anyone tuning in wanting to start their property journey, what would be three of your biggest tips?
So I'll be honest, work in it first. Maybe go and start and be an estate agent. Start in the work in the property business, in the industry, learn it a little bit. So maybe you could start in a tech property company, you could start as an online property company, a traditional high street estate agents, an investment firm. Actually go and work in the property business. That would be the best thing. If you've done that already and you're thinking about buying something, buy within your limits, understand what you can afford, and buy something and buy well. Make sure you do your price comparisons, make sure you're buying at good value, and understand why you're buying it. Like, what is your purpose of buying a property in the first place, and then making sure you buy well.
Excellent. Great. Brilliant. Thanks for that. What is next for Nathan, and how can people tap into you, my friend?
So they can find me on Instagram. I'm always ranting about something or another. So people can always slide into my DMs, send me a message if they want 5 minutes of my time to ask a couple of questions. That's fine. What's next for me? Just carry on doing what I do. Like, I really enjoy doing what I do, like buying, selling, helping clients. Obviously, I've got the agency. Um, I would love, like, if you said, like, what's the ultimate, what's a big dream? I would love to build a beautiful estate for families, like a beautiful house, beautiful houses on an estate in a lovely area with good schools around it. I'd love to build affordable. When you say affordable, not overpriced new developments, just really well priced, beautiful estate, well managed and well kept. So that'd be a nice long-term dream. So 15, 20, 30 houses, but mine, nobody else's, no JVs, nothing.
Wow,
That'd be a nice
brilliant.
long-term plan.
Wow, brilliant. Well, I'm sure you'll achieve all of your dreams and all of your goals with that resilience and that attitude of take action. A big thank you for coming on Beyond the Hustle, and what a great podcast this has been. So wherever you are right now, if you want to do something, like Nathan said, take massive action, get rid of the negativity, invite the trolls into your life, and just do whatever it takes. Get started, get perfect later. Thanks for tuning in to Beyond the Hustle, and we'll see you in the next episode.